Hello and welcome. My guest today is an author, she's a teacher, she's an engineer, and she's the chairperson of the Infosys Foundation, Sudha Murthy. Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV.
Namaste.
Namaste. Ma'am, your new book is about Ram and Krishna and the other aspects, the little known aspects of Ram and Krishna. Tell us why you chose to write this book.
Actually, it's the third in my series. We all know about Rama and Krishna. Their normal life, like they were born, Krishna was born and fought with Kamsa. I am going to touch the unusual portion of that. Why Rama is called Raghunandana Rama? Why Rama is called Kakutsa? Why Rama is called Suryavamshi? These are very unusual aspects. So I want to touch all those things. So I said, let me write a book which probably many people may not even know.
You know, you speak about protecting the cow in this very human way.
That was what it is written in a story of Dileepa. Dileepa, there is a story of Dileepa which is the first story only says.
Yes.
Then he insulted a cow.
Yes.
And the cow, then he has to protect a cow, became a part of that. Please remember, these mythologies have been written about the Shruti, that means Smriti. It was written, then it was remembered, it was told, it was never written in the book
So
form.
it was memory, and by word it got passed on. Yeah.
It must have been actually a story with 300 words. Over a period of 3,000, 4,000 years, it has become like a big flow. So stories have been modified, changed, added. So the story starts that cow was very important to Dileepa.
Yes.
Because it was in the form of a Kamadhenu, which gave him a boon.
Yeah.
So the story was written in Mahabharata, in Bhagavata, or in Raghuvamsha first, this one. Kalidasa's Raghuvamsha, this comes.
But you know, it's interesting because you speak about the cow and then how he tends to the cow, and he, you know, when the lion comes to eat Nandini, he says, you know, don't eat her, and eat me, and sort of the protection of the cow. But at the same time, later in the second story, you talk about the whole thing of innocent lives. Do you think in our culture nowadays, you know, with all this going on where people are getting lynched in the name of the protection of the cow, or religion is getting into it, you think it's all being misinterpreted in a way?
Probably, I don't know how the way you look at it. You should not take cow as a cow here. Dileepa looks after a promise which he has given. And if the promise is not fulfilled, he is ready to give his life. For example, Shibi was a Chakravarti or the emperor, and he gives a protection to a bird. And when the bird, he says, I will give my life to the bird. What all these indicate that when a person or a ruler or a leader gives a promise, he or she should keep the promise at any cost. That's the reason in Ramayana, Pran na jaye, vachan na jaye. That is the concept here, than taking a cow as an animal, cow or something else as an animal. The word of honor is so important to a king that he is ready to give his life.
But tell me also, you know, in your book, as I was reading it, and I've sort of heard your earlier interviews, you speak very strongly about establishing relationships, that, you know, people need to build bridges. Again, when you see India today, you think bridges are being broken, that relationships, even interpersonal relationships between people, is that not?
But it is true wherever there is a lot of wealth. You know, I was reading about a book on Silicon Valley, and they say in Silicon Valley how relationship became fragile. Once it was an orchard before. When it became a Silicon Valley of the entrepreneurs, and relationship became fragile. So I think whenever there is lot of wealth, there is a lot of choices in life. And early days, the relationships were, some of them were compulsory, some of them were economically dependent, some were with love. And which is with love will stay forever. Which is with economics do not stay when there is a lot of wealth, because everybody can be independent. And if you make it compulsory, then people stay but without mind. So I feel if you have good relationship with love, it is a great asset in life. Because you can depend on someone, you can share your difficulties, you can share someone's difficulties, and you can establish a bond. Otherwise, tell me, what is there in life? You earn money, you have luxury, and you will spend the way you want, and you will die one day. But if you have good relationship with, you know, in your society, with your children, with your parents, all these things, it is such a wonderful life and with a healthy way of living. That's what I believe in it.
No, and it's interesting that you talk about wealth because you live so sparsely. You don't really buy anything, and people would look at you and Mr. Murthy and say, why are they not doing that? But it's a philosophy clearly that's very close to your heart. But today, if you thought something could improve society, you know, something that you could buy that could improve society, what would it be?
It's hard to say, I buy and it improves. If you want to change, I can tell you, you want to change society, particularly you want to change our country, I feel a good education. A good education in a rural area with a very skill developed education can really change our country, I would say. And with money you cannot buy. You have a limitation with money. With money you can buy many luxuries. But after some time with money you cannot buy many things. And today somebody asked me, tell me where do you spend your money? I was thinking, where do I spend money other than philanthropy? Sometimes I buy flowers, books I buy, good music and medicine required. Otherwise I don't spend money anywhere because you don't require. To be happy in life, you require money to some extent. To have your own house, to travel abroad, to give education to your children, your old age, etc. That much money is required. You can't be a fakir. Everybody cannot be fakir. Everybody cannot be Buddha or a Jesus Christ. But we're all normal human beings. But more than that, you don't require. That I have realized. This is my philosophy.
Tell me, this book is not just about mythology. You're also trying to give a message through it. So for people who read this book, what is the one takeaway from them, for them? You know, if there was some one thing that you would want them to take from this book, what would that be?
Now, depending on the story. For example, the complex Asura Ravana is a part of the story. Ravana was extremely bright, a great devotee. He had so many positive qualities, but one negative quality of eyeing on someone's wife, okay, womanizing, that destroyed not only Ravana, his entire kingdom. That means if you have 99 good qualities and one extremely bad quality, which is unethical, can not only destroy you, it destroys people who are dependent on you.
30 books.
In 40 years, I think.
In 40 years.
40 years.
So what next?
Well, I have 2-3 books in line actually, and I wrote and kept them because I want to do one book per year. Okay. So next year we are going to have a mythology book on women.
Okay.
Okay, which was very difficult to write because ours is a male-dominating society. All mythology is based on male only, except Draupadi and Sita. Where do you hear other people?
That's true.
Okay, and rarely we come across women who are independent, clear thinking, and who will probably say, I lead my life the way I want, or who will say, this is the way I believe in. We have very few people like that. So I have to do a lot of research, a lot of work, and found out very unusual women who were probably more powerful than men. And that is next year book.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for speaking to us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.